Hello friends, and welcome to today's video where I show you how to draw this cute little winter sparrow with Neocolor II crayons. I'm so happy to be back working with Neocolor IIs. It's been a little while after Neocolor November, and now we are back with this wonderful medium of water-soluble crayons. And as you probably know by now, I love to draw birds with these crayons, and sparrow is one of my favorite birds. I think they are such friendly little creatures. So today's topic is then a little sparrow sitting and admiring the snow and winter scenery around it. I will start with working on some beige and cinnamon, which are two of my staples whenever drawing birds, and then adding some brown and also Payne's grey before starting to activate anything. What I do is the kind of usual process for me working with these crayons. So I like to kind of start with a very sketchy outline. I like to start with sketching some outlines and adding some color blocking areas. So I'm just kind of very loosely adding some colors that I think would be nice for the base layer. And then we will also start adding some details later on. I'm also using here bronze and some Sahara yellow to give some variety to the colors that we have here on the first layer. Activating the crayons and the pigment for the first kind of base layer of color means that we can be quite loose still and add quite a lot of water, but make sure to clean the brush in between so that it doesn't end up just one muddy pool of different grays and browns. But as you can see here, I'm using the brush very loosely and mixing the different pigments and colors together on a paper. And this way we can build a nice, bit abstract first layer, kind of good base for adding colors and details for kind of later stages. I will have my art supplies of the day listed down below, so you can watch or check out the description if you want to see what other kind of supplies I'm using here. But basically it's my trusted Hahnemühle watercolor sketchbook and also Holbein synthetic watercolor brushes that I really enjoy using with these crayons. Here I'm then working with some sepia, which is a wonderful color to add some darker details. If you don't want to go full on black, but want to kind of have something a bit, I would say, softer than traditional black, then sepia is a wonderful option for that. And at this point I start adding kind of small details, and I think sparrows are such interesting birds, aren't they? They have so many beautiful little spots and colors in their wings, so it's very interesting subject matter also to draw. But this one has like lots of character, this little one, so we'll add little different spots and different shades so that it can have its personality visible. This is English red, the crayon I'm using here, because I wanted to add a bit more kind of red tone to the bird's head and also a little bit of the same color in the wings so that we can balance it out. This is also a good tip that if you are using a bit of different color or stronger color in one part of your bird, then add just a hint of it to somewhere else so that it kind of balances it out and it doesn't pop out too much. And we have here, as you can see, that the kind of English red is very, very powerful and intense, really intense colors. So it's then good to have that also other parts of the bird, not just the head, so it doesn't look too overpowering. This little bird represents very well my style of using Neocolor IIs and how I like to use them for drawing birds. Kind of keep it very loose, just play with the color, add different impressions, because the person watching this little sketch, they don't even expect it to be too much like a photograph, more like they can also they can make their own interpretations based on what you create and what kind of colors and textures you build on a paper. And I really enjoy Neocolor IIs for something like this. It took me only, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes to complete this whole sketch, and that's also why I really enjoy Neocolor IIs, because they are such a fun medium to use when you only have a little bit of time and you want to relax and have some fun and create something simple with them. And especially now when it's winter time, it's we are scarce of light, there isn't too much daylight, and also it's not the best season to be drawing outdoors, let's face it. So we can bring a bit of nature to our everyday life. We can kind of go for a walk, watch and see what happens in nature, come back home and just take 15 to 30 minutes to sketch something like this, and it just really brightens at least my day. As you can see here, I have my full selection of Neocolor II crayons here at on my art table at this point, but I'm only using a very limited palette. It's actually not too many colors that I'm using. Pretty much the ones that I mentioned in the beginning of this video, those are the ones that I keep on using and repeating on kind of when we work forward with this. I'm also adding some white, of course, some white details, and then we will start working also with some ochre and then some light blues later on. But it's really kind of very limited palette, not too much happening on a page. We are much more playing with the different textures and line work, and that way kind of building the impressions as said. But keeping the palette very limited, especially since, well, it's winter time, and where I live, it means that there isn't too many different kind of bright colors in nature. It's very much about browns and grays, so that's what we are working with, and you can still create such beautiful tones and different variations on a paper. Once we start adding different branches here, kind of building the background, you can see that I start to sketch even more loosely. I'm not activating all the pigment. I'm kind of building the layers, building different colors, and again giving a nice impression of a background, but we are not adding too much detail because I want the bird to be the star of the show. And as said, it's a quick sketch, so you can kind of decide where you want to focus. And with this one, I wanted to focus on the little bird instead of putting too much effort to the background. With Neocolor IIs, it's also a good idea to sometimes start with background and kind of leave the white area for the actual star of the show. Or I could have also done what I often also do, that I kind of build a very initial first layer of color throughout the page and then start adding detail to the whatever the actual subject matter is in my sketch. But this time I wanted to do it other way around, so that I wanted to start with the bird and then add some background to them. So I think that also worked really well, and I was really happy with the end result. This week I will share these more like a winter nature art on my channel, because I want to show you that even though if you are living in, if you are someone who lives in kind of up north, so that you don't have all the beautiful colors and not too much green outdoors at this time of the year, you can still find beauty, you can still find lots of interesting details, and it's actually somewhat comforting, take a cup of tea and just use these, what I would call maybe a bit dull, different shades, and just see what you can sketch with them and find the beauty around you, even this time of the year. Actually, if you are someone who is interested in birds, I would say winter is a wonderful season to spot them, because there isn't so many leaves on trees, so you can easily see what the birds are doing. They are also coming closer to the kind of houses and gardens, kind of in search of food. They are not just hiding in the forest because it's not too kind of warm for them. So this is the perfect time of the year to go out and spot some friendly, beautiful little birds, and then come home and sketch them. So enjoy the season and embrace the season you are living in. What you can see me doing here is that I'm kind of very loosely and carefully activating the different light blue and some of the green and grey pigments that I put down the background, and I'm also working on a wet paper so that I can bring some shadows and some interest. As I said, we are not trying to add any kind of detailed background, we just want to add a little bit of color so that the page is not empty, but the bird is our star of the show, and that's what we are mainly focusing on. Let me know in the comments below if you are someone who is inspired by this winter season. I mean, not every one of you is, of course, experiencing the winter season, so if you are in the middle of summer, please let me know what inspires you in that season. But also if you are at the moment in the middle of winter, let me know what kind of subject matters you enjoy the most. Or if you are totally just creating some Christmas related or holiday season related art, that's totally fine as well. Here we are adding just some final details, and I'm just sketching on this, say, damp or even wet paper with the crayons, adding some interest. And I also wanted to add a bit more kind of darker light blue to kind of build a bit of a background, give the impression of some snow and maybe some winter field back there. So here it is, our little sweet sparrow. I hope so much that you've enjoyed today's video, and if you have, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.